Hey, what's up, guys? This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do a review of the Google Pixel 2 XL. This is the larger version. Have had this phone for a couple days now. Overall, I really like it, but there's a few problems that if you're considering buying it, you may want to hold off for now and see if Google can come through with maybe some software patches. Not sure what they need, but I'll talk about the good and the bads of this phone. Just overall, the pictures are amazing. The screen is great. I really don't have any problem whatsoever with the screen. I know there was a lot of articles about, the blue tint, which is viewable if you tilt it sideways a little bit, but again, for me, that was really a non-issue. I compared this at the Verizon store to the iPhone X or iPhone 10, and this screen playing a 4K video on YouTube, the same video right next to the iPhone 10, this phone blows it out of the water. The detail, the color, everything was just unbelievably crystal clear. Colors looked real. Like 100%, this is a really good phone with a great screen. The whole issues that you're hearing really, to me, is a non-issue. The problems I have run into, though, that do involve the screen are a couple things. One of them is just a really minor kind of stupid detail that most of you won't care about. The picture actually is square, but it cuts off the edges on the top and on the bottom. And depending on your apps, if there's a little bit of information on those corners, and I'll show you an example in a minute here, you don't get that. When you take a screenshot, you can see the full corners, but on the display itself, they're rounded at the edges, which honestly is, I don't understand the purpose of that other than aesthetic value, because the phone is curved at the edges, so they make the screen curved. But to me, that was kind of a dumb choice. But the reason that I'm doing this video is because of one of the problems that I discovered that I believe is documented, people are beginning to figure out, is that there's dead zones in the touchscreen. And it's not, unless you use certain apps that you need to touch the very corners or the edges of the screen, you probably would never notice this. But it's fairly apparent and fairly annoying, and I will actually demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about here in a minute. But before we go into that, I'll just show you guys. I actually have a Galaxy S8 here. This is my wife's phone, and I'm going to show you guys some pictures of that these two phones took side by side, so you can compare. Because I mean, for me, it was the decision was between the Galaxy S8 and of course the Pixel 2, and I ended up with the Pixel 2. These are the screens side by side. This first picture that you're seeing is taken with a flash. Detail is great in the Pixel 2 here on the right. Everything is really clear. Detail is also very good with the Samsung. I'd say probably a wash on these pictures. It's just really the only difference that you're mainly seeing is the temperature. The color temperature on the Pixel 2 is a little bit cooler. This picture was taken outside, and you know what, let me turn off this overhead light. Maybe you guys can see this more clearly. This was taken outside with no flash in a very dark area, and as you can see, the detail on the Pixel 2's photograph is very clear. Turned out actually really well. I was impressed with this photograph here. And then on the S8, similar quality. I personally, I think that the Pixel 2's photograph turned out better than the S8, but you can kind of decide for yourself there. One thing I did notice whenever I'm using the Pixel 2, and this is another problem that I've kind of been annoying to me, is whenever I'm zooming in and out, as you can see, it's kind of delayed on the zoom in. Like you have to move your fingers for a second before it actually zooms. And also, if you're zoomed in at all, let me go back to this. If you're zoomed in at all and you want to go to the next picture, you can't, and it locks you out. And this has been really frustrating for me. And if you zoom out a little bit too far, you get locked into that picture as well. And I know with the Galaxy phones, if you get to the edge of the photograph and you keep scrolling, it'll go to the next picture, which I think is what this one should do, but it doesn't. So that was annoying for me. Most people probably wouldn't notice or care about that. But again, I mean, I'm really close to being just right, but unless you have it at the exact right zoom, it's not going to scroll sideways. And then on the Galaxy, you know, you get to the edge, you swipe again, it goes to the next picture. That's how the Pixel 2 should work. I don't know why it doesn't work that way. But anyways, so that's my first critique of it, or I guess second. And lastly, I want to show you guys, and I discovered this while playing my favorite game here, Call of Duty Heroes. A lot of you watching this video probably watched this because it uploaded to my channel here, and this is how I discovered this glitch. And I'll talk about the dead zones on this screen, particularly on the bottom part of the screen, which is the right side, is what you're seeing here. On the corners specifically, but really it's anywhere along the edges. I've noticed that the phone does not always respond properly to the touch, and there's some certain buttons on this phone on this game that a lot of times don't work for me, and I end up having to click them 5, 10, 15 times before they finally work. One of those buttons that I use a lot is this little attack button down here, and what I'm going to do before I push it this way, I'm going to flip the phone around so that you can see what it's supposed to look like whenever I tap the attack button. And I'll try to get it so that you can see. Alright, so the entire button lights up, and it's very obvious that I clicked it. I'll hit it a couple more times. Yeah, I think you guys can see that. The entire button turns white to show that yes, I clicked on it. If I turn the phone around, actually, and the retreat button up here is probably not going to work either. Nope, look at that. I'm hitting this button over and over. There you go, finally. Retreat, yes. So that's the other, I was going to show that zone next on the top right corner. Touchscreen does not work there. But on the bottom, if you'll watch this, I'm going to hit the attack button again, and it's not responding. Oh, it finally did. But if you noticed, whenever I hit the button, the first time anyways, it's no longer showing that I'm pushing it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And of course right now it's cut on to what I'm doing, so, oh, there we go. So as you can see, it doesn't always work, and also even when it does work, it's not showing that I'm actually pushing the button. So I think the game is detecting that I might be touching right there, so let's go ahead and hit that attack button. But again, it takes me several clicks to get it to work. So that's when I first discovered it, that there's some problems with this phone. Again, you flip it over, you hit that same button. Well, again, it shows up all on the edges, but mainly that side over there. So it's working properly up here on this corner. Let me back out here. So anyways, I thought, well, you know, maybe this is just the game. There's a glitch in the game. It's possible. There have been problems with this game in the past. So I did some research and turned on the developer options on the phone in the settings. So we'll go ahead and open up the settings here and turn those back on. And there's basically a way where I can show on the phone where I'm actually touching it. And you can turn this on if you go through developer settings. System developer options right here. So scroll down to input. May have passed it here. Here we go. So you can click on the show taps and pointer location. Now this is probably the easiest way for me to be able to show you guys that there are dead zones in the screen, because this works outside of Call of Duty Heroes as well. And we'll go ahead and open up, let's see, I downloaded a white picture. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to try to make this picture full screen, and I'll zoom in all the way. Alright, so everything is gone except for this stuff up at the top, and that's actually from the developer options type thing. So on the bottom of the phone, which again is the right side of the phone over here, I'm going to tap in the top right corner and the bottom right corner and see if little points pop up. Because as you can see, I touch and a point pops up wherever I touch it every time. Point, which is how it's supposed to work. Now, in the corners, I won't even get a reaction. So let's make it, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to try to touch in this very top right corner here. Oh, it caught it on the third time, if you notice that. I'll do it again. 1, 2. Oh, caught the second one there. Caught that one. But there's a spot right up there in that edge, and I'm hitting it right now several times, and it's not catching it. Let's try this bottom one, see if I can replicate it down here. I caught that one. So it's catching it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, right along this bottom edge, I am actually making contact with the glass over and over, and it's not registering all of these clicks. So there's not a screen protector or anything on this phone. There is obviously the case, but really the only way that you guys can see this, I mean, obviously you can't see my finger making contact with the glass there, and I'll try this one more time at this angle, but it is no response, no response, no response, no response. So there are dead zones on this phone, and if you use apps or need to get to those areas, just be aware of that. Hopefully this can be fixed in a patch. So anyways, that's kind of my little review of the Pixel Pixel 2 XL. Overall, a great phone, great pictures, great screen. My only complaints again are the dead zones in the touchpad and the touch screen, and then the fact that when you're trying to zoom in on pictures, it's kind of delayed. It's not as responsive as I think it should be, and you can't swipe between pictures if you're zoomed in at all. Actually, I'll go ahead and show one more thing real quick. Let's see. Let me go back to one of these other photographs here. This one I downloaded. So if you zoom in, this is kind of annoying too. You can't zoom in any further, and you get to a point and it won't let you zoom in anymore, and then it zooms back out. And I know that seems silly because, you know, it's a digital picture. Why would you want to zoom in that much? But I mean, this isn't very much zoom that I'm trying to go into. And yes, it gets pixelated as you zoom in further, but it stops you and then it pops you back out as you're still trying to zoom in. So that's another kind of quirk that annoys me. And I'm still remembering other things. Last thing, on notifications on my apps, Gmail, my regular email, Facebook, Line, none of these, even YouTube, none of these are showing me that I have messages or notifications. And on my Galaxy, they all do. So I don't know if this is a problem with the apps itself or the phone or the software or what the problem is. But again, I don't get any notifications on any of these apps that I normally do. So that's it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed it.